Okay, let's dive in. So if you're anything like most dedicated hunters, it's getting towards late spring, maybe early summer. Turkey season's likely wrapping up.
And hopefully your freezer's looking pretty full of wild turkey.
Exactly. And, we all love the classics. Turkey chili is great, turkey salad, sure. But when you've got a really good harvest,
Yeah,
well, you need more ideas, right? Go beyond the usual rotation.
precisely.
Yeah.
And the goal here isn't just using up the meat. It's really about getting the most out of it.
Right.
So in this deep dive, we're looking at 6 specific recipes.
Mhm.
And what's really key about this list, its main mission isn't just being new or different.
Okay.
It's about conversion. Finding ways to cook wild turkey that actually appeal to, those skeptical friends or family members, the ones wary of that wild game flavor or maybe the texture.
The tough crowd. And these ideas, they come from a pretty solid source, right? Deep in the hunting world.
Yeah, exactly. It's a piece put together by Connor Hermesh. He's the marketing manager for the American Hunting Lease Association, the AHLA.
Okay, AHLA.
Yeah?
That adds some weight, definitely. It suggests these are practical tips for people who actually process a lot of game.
It really grounds the advice in practicality, I think. These ideas are basically built to solve real kitchen problems you run into with wild turkey.
So how should we approach these? Maybe group them by the problem they solve.
I like that. We can look at recipes tackling texture, maybe masking flavor for picky eaters, or just offering completely new ways to use it.
Great. Let's start with maybe the most basic problem, sheer volume. You got a full freezer. What's a simple, familiar way to start using it up? That brings us to number 1.
Right. The turkey and wild rice stew.
Stew. Okay, maybe not groundbreaking, but I see the angle. Familiarity.
Exactly. It solves that first hurdle, turning a good amount of wild game into something comforting, something approachable. Now, the recipe details it. It looks like a long list of ingredients, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But the key thing the source points out is that most of it, the veggies, herbs, broth, it's probably stuff you already have in your pantry or fridge.
So it's actually designed for efficiency, not really a big culinary adventure, more for like busy nights or making a huge batch on a Sunday.
That's the idea. Feed a crowd, have leftovers. It solves that, what am I going to do with all this turkey question with, well, simplicity.
Makes sense. But that probably uses the breast meat, right? The easier stuff.
Mostly, yeah. And that leads us to the real challenge for a lot of folks cooking wild turkey. It's not simplicity they struggle with.
It's the legs and thighs, that toughness.
Exactly. These birds are active. All that running around builds up dense connective tissue.
Okay, so the stew handles volume with familiarity. But yeah, those legs, that's the common complaint. How does the source tackle that texture problem head on?
By picking a cooking method specifically designed to break down that density. And that brings us to recipe number 2, wild turkey carnitas.
Carnitas. Okay, interesting. Like Tex-Mex style.
Yeah, leading into those south of the border flavors.
Yeah.
But the real genius here isn't just the spice blend. It's the cooking process itself.
So it's not just masking the flavor, it's actually changing the meat. How does carnitas do that specifically?
It's definitely changing the texture.
Yeah.
Think about how traditional carnitas are made often slow-simmered, sometimes in lard or liquid, maybe with some acid like citrus.
Right, low and slow.
That's the key. Those low, slow, moist heat methods are essential for converting collagen, that tough stuff in active muscles, into gelatin.
Ah, the science bit. Collagen to gelatin.
Exactly. That's what takes those turkey legs from, tough and chewy to properly fork tender, shreddable meat. The technique solves the problem.
That makes a ton of sense. You're using the cooking method to fix the structure, not just covered up with spices. And the serving suggestion, tortillas, lime, sour cream.
Yep, soft flour tortillas. Be generous with the lime and sour cream. And again, that's not just for taste. The acid from the lime, the fat in the sour cream, they enhance the final texture, cut through the richness.
So it turns a difficult cut into something pretty great for dinner or even like party food.
Definitely. Weeknight dinner, easy party platter, it works.
Okay, so we've got volume covered with the stew and texture handled by the carnitas. Now, what about those really skeptical eaters? The ones who hear wild game and just kind of wrinkle their nose.
Right, the gamey fear. For them, you need something that's almost a guaranteed win. Minimize the unfamiliarity.
Which means we're moving into masking flavors. Substitution.
Pretty much. Starting with fried turkey nuggets.
Can't go wrong with fried nuggets, I guess. But the source mentioned an interesting point here. A trade-off.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
The recipe itself, the frying part, is simple. But the whole experience, especially if you use the recommended sauce, well, you might lose some of that unique, authentic wild turkey flavor.
The flavor a hunter might actually want to taste.
Exactly. It's kind of the price of admission if your goal is converting non-hunters. You accept that it's going to taste more like the crispy coating and the sauce, less like the bird itself.
A deliberate choice, then, prioritizing getting people to eat it over showcasing the wild taste.
That seems to be the logic.
And that sauce. The description sounded intense, about a dozen or so ingredients. Is that really worth it? Are we just making fancy chicken nuggets?
Haha. Well, that's a fair point. But the argument in the source is, while the sauce is complex, frying the actual turkey is super easy.
Okay.
So the complex sauce is like flavor insurance. It guarantees a hit, makes the conversion successful. The effort goes into the sauce, not the turkey prep, and the result is something almost everyone loves.
So the high ingredient count is strategic, not just complicated for complication's sake.
That's the idea. Culinary strategy.
All right, efficiency through substitution. If we're talking familiar formats, we have to talk about that fast food-inspired one, the Turk-fil-a Sandwich.
Yeah, great name, right? Pure marketing genius, really.
Totally.
It's the ultimate substitution play. A clear, fun take on the classic crispy chicken sandwich. And the source even jokes about getting it any day of the week, including Sundays.
Love that little detail, show some personality, and the process sounds pretty easy. Just swap turkey into a standard fried chicken recipe.
Basically, yeah. You're just leveraging a flavor profile people already know and, frankly, crave.
Uh-huh.
What's great here is you get huge flavor impact, but the ingredient list for the chicken turkey part is actually pretty small. Makes it accessible.
And versatile, too, right? Didn't it say the same prep works for nuggets?
It did. Same brining, same coating method works for the sandwich or for making a batch of those nuggets we just talked about. Speaks volumes about how effective that method is.
Okay, versatility is definitely a recurring theme. So we've done simple volume cooking. We've done the deep-fried crowd pleasers. What about recipes that offer genuinely new flavor combos, things you wouldn't normally think of doing with turkey?
Right. Now we're getting into more, let's say, fusion territory, starting with turkey egg rolls.
Egg roll. With wild turkey, that sounds a bit unexpected.
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it? But the author really rates this one, says it can make a turkey hater flip the switch.
Wow, high praise. Is it complicated? Lots of ingredients like that nugget sauce.
Surprisingly, no. That's what's interesting. The recipe for the filling itself is pretty minimal, only about 7 ingredients mentioned.
Huh. High impact, low ingredient count. That's the opposite of the nugget sauce. So what's the catch? There's got to be a catch.
The challenge seems purely physical. According to the source, the hardest part is just assembling them, getting the filling neatly wrapped in the egg roll wrappers.
Ah, the actual ruling.
Yeah, admits it may be easier said than done. But if you can manage that part, the mix of savory turkey with those Asian-inspired flavors inside a crispy wrapper, apparently it really works.
Okay, that's a cool example. High return, low flavor effort, just a bit of technique needed. Let's wrap up the recipes with the one designed for maximum weekend impact, the grill favorite.
Yes, the grand finale, designed to end this list off with a bang, as the source puts it, the grilled wild turkey roll.
Rolls. So, like, stuffed and rolled turkey breast. What's in it?
Pretty much. And it uses the holy trinity for making wild game amazing.
Yeah.
Fat, spice, and moisture. The source is blunt. The only thing better than wild turkey is wild turkey with bacon.
Uh-huh. Can't argue with bacon.
Yeah. Here with jalapenos for some heat.
Oh, okay. Now this touches on something we mentioned earlier, that sometimes strong, gamey taste. The source even called it potentially feeling a little dirty. How does this roll specifically combat that? What's the mechanism?
This recipe tackles that directly using, well, food science again.
Sure.
First, the fat rendering from the bacon. It bastes the turkey.
Yeah.
That's crucial because wild turkey is super lean, dries out easily.
Right. Adds moisture and fat.
But maybe more importantly, that rendered bacon fat, combined with the moisture and likely some acidity from the marinade, it coats the meat fibers. That essentially masks or minimizes those strong flavors like the high iron or myoglobin taste, as some people find off-putting in wild game. It's like a sensory override.
So it's not just adding flavor, it's strategically using fat and acid to manage both texture and those potentially strong metallic notes. That's a really useful takeaway for any game cook.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It turns something that could be challenging into a guaranteed smoky, spicy, juicy hit, which explains why, even though it needs extra prep time for marinating, it's listed as a top weekend choice.
Yeah, makes sense. So, looking back at all 6, From the simple stew to the carnitas tackling toughness, the fried stuff for picky eaters, the egg rolls, and this bacon roll, the common thread really is versatility, isn't it? And smart problem solving.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Addressing the specific challenges of wild turkey toughness, leanness, sometimes strong flavor, while making it appealing to more people.
Mm.
It's about respecting the animal, but also expanding its reach.
It's a really practical framework.
And it helps knowing where it comes from.
Yeah.
Connor Hermish at the AHLA, they're embedded in that whole hunting lifestyle economy.
Right.
Their other resources reflect that too. Things like insurance options for hunting leases, clubs, vacant land, even guides and outfitters. It's all part of supporting that world.
Gives you a picture of who this advice is for, people actually living it, dealing with a freezer full of game. The author himself, based in Indiana, enjoys fishing, quads, campfires. It roots the advice in that community.
It definitely does. But let's circle back to that grilled wild turkey roll for a final thought.
Okay.
If bacon, plus a good marinade with some acid, is such an effective, accessible fix for those potentially gamey or dirty flavors, makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Under what?
Well, thinking about the differences in the bird itself,
Right.
breast meat versus leg meat, how different the myoglobin